What's up YouTube? My name's Cameron Doherty here with another tech video. I'm happy that you guys can see me, you guys can hear me, and actually those are going to be the two topics that we're specifically talking about today. So if you've watched my videos in the past, you might notice that the picture looks a little bit different today. Maybe a slightly different angle, slightly different colors. This is the first video recording on the new Canon M50 Mark II. I'll link the video in the description doing the unboxing, but this is officially the first time that you're getting to see the result of what that's going to look like. And then on top of that, we're going to talk about actually the audio side of things today. So for most of my recordings, I've been using a Samson Q2U microphone that's just there out of frame. But we're going to try something new. We're going to unbox and test out a new microphone right here. All right, so this is the Takstar SGC-600. It's a shotgun microphone. It's going to attach right to the top of the Canon camera, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to give me a lot of flexibility. I'm hoping the sound quality is pretty good. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as we take a look at it. All right. So some basic documentation. And not much to it. So here is the microphone. It is quite small, actually. Go ahead and pull this foam off. You can take a look. Very small microphone. Very small foam pad that goes on top to mute the background noise. And this has a cold shoe mount that will allow it to attach directly to the top of the Canon camera. And there's some exciting things about this that I'm hoping are going to really improve the quality of the videos on this channel. And the first of which is the fact that it's a shotgun microphone. It uses what's called a super cardioid pattern. I'm not an audiophile. I'm not, technical. I'm not going to try to act like I know all of the technical details. But the gist of it, the 30,000 foot view, is that where the microphone is pointing is what it's going to pick up the best. When we took it off, and we'll take it off again actually during this explanation, you can see that there's very clearly the microphone pickup points here, but this is all solid. And so the idea is that as you point this at your target, then that's going to focus in the hearing there and block out background noise and things on the side. So if you look at the diagram on the screen now, you can see that the greatest pickup is coming from the very front of where your subject is, where that microphone is pointing to, and it's going to block out as you go over to the sides. Then there'll be just a little bit of pickup in the back. But ultimately, that's what I'm looking for. Wherever my camera's pointed, that's where I want to be able to hear, and I want to try to block out any background noises. I'm obviously filming in a kitchen, so you've probably heard in the background of some previous videos, there's a fridge that can run, there's sometimes the air will kick on at unexpected times. Those sorts of things are going to happen and have happened. I've done my best to mute those effects as much as possible, but if you really listen closely on the previous videos, you'll absolutely hear it, in some worse than in others. So enter the Takstar. So very simple setup here. Attaches, this is a headphone jack that'll attach into the side. We'll get that mounted onto the camera in just a moment. Additionally with it, we have just a AA battery in order to power it. And it comes with a headphone splitter, which I can only assume is so that you can use a second microphone. So the only time I could think this would be useful is if you attach this into your camera, for example, and you wanted to use both this shotgun microphone on top, and then at the same time you wanted to attach in a second device like a lapel mic or like some other type of microphone. But we're not really going to take a look at this today, so we're just going to put that aside. Looking at the device itself, on the bottom here, right underneath the microphone, is where we put the battery in. So there's two little buttons on the side, and very easy, straightforward latch. On the back, we have a adjustment for the the gain of either plus 10 decibels, minus 10 decibels, on-off switch, and I forget the exact name of it, but I think it's called a high frequency pass-through. And so that's the thing you'll see down in the bottom right here. And what that does is, I think it's designed to help cut out some of the wind noises and things like that you might get being outdoors. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. So basically just throw the battery in, pop it on the camera, plug it in, and turn on the power, and we should be good to go. So the next thing we're gonna do is show you how to mount it to the camera, and then after that we'll do some audio tests comparing the onboard microphone compared to the shotgun microphone compared to my Samson microphones on a standalone basis, and we'll see which one we like, which one performs the best. So we'll be right back. All right, so we are back, and we are just filming over here for right now since we took the camera down and we have it right here in order to install the microphone. So the first things first, we gotta put the battery in, so we'll open this up. It looks like we're going negative down, positive side up, so just slide it in like that. There we go, nice and easy. Flip on the on switch, we get a nice little green indicator light, which looks like we installed the battery successfully. Woo! So, all right, now let's get this attached. So we have a little wheel at the bottom here that will tighten and loosen. And so we'll just spin that up to the top to loosen it up. We're gonna take our camera, which has this mount right here, just gonna slide that in directly and then tighten this down. So nice and easy, that gets it nice and secure. And then we have the headphone jack cord, which does have a little extender here, but it is directly attached rather than being a removable cable, which does mean that if this breaks or has a problem, there's no replacing it or fixing it, so you're just gonna have to wind up getting a new microphone in that case. But the bright side is that this is a very cheap option for a shotgun microphone. I'll put up the latest price on Amazon right now, but I got mine for just under $30, which I found to be a great price, especially when you consider some comparables that run you 100, 150, 200, or even more. This, I'm hoping, is going to do just as good a job, or at least as far as my ear can tell and for my purposes, without breaking the bank, really. So we'll just plug this in here. And there we go. So nice and simple. Now we've got our microphone ready to go. And so, like I said, whichever way this is pointing, so whichever way your camera is pointing, that's going to be the way that the microphone picks up. And we've also, we'll play around with the gains a little bit on the back and see how it all goes. So I'm going to pop this guy back up on the tripod, and we'll get back to filming, and we'll do a little audio test for you. See you soon. All right, so we are back, and we've got the shotgun mic, the Takstar mic, attached to the top of the Canon camera. So what you're hearing right now is the audio coming from that Takstar microphone, and so we can see how this sounds. I'm gonna try and talk as much in my normal speaking volume and tone as I normally would, to see just in a normal circumstance how the microphone would pick it up. And so, like I said, this is what the Takstar is sounding like. And now let's switch back to my normal microphone, which is the Samson Q2U, which, like I said, is just here right out of frame. So technically this microphone is a little bit closer to me, but it's not meant for exactly the type of use as this. So the shotgun microphone is meant to point in the direction of your subject and be a little bit further away, whereas this microphone is really designed to be used up close directly at your mouth in a podcast style or an interview style sort of thing. So this is what the sound that normally comes through in all of my videos should sound like. This is from the Samson Q2U. This is what I've been using to date. So how do they sound? What do you think? What's the difference? I'm gonna make sure that I listen back to this and really actually give you a reaction. I've watched several of these videos of people comparing microphones, and a lot of times they'll just record the footage and post it, but not actually give you their take. So I'm really curious to get the exact output. And I also want to keep talking and actually make a normal conversation here, because that's one other thing. While I totally get the fact that you might want to use the exact same audio for each microphone test to really make sure that you can tell which one is performing better and hear it directly, that's really boring to just listen to the same thing over and over again in slightly different microphone sounds. So hopefully this is a little better for you, and I know it's better for me making it. So like I said, one more time, let's go back to the Takstar microphone and hear what that sounds like. And once again, we'll jump right back to the Samson microphone, and so you can hear what that sounds like. So I'm interested to see how close they are. I'm going to do one other test. I'm going to remove the Takstar mic from the audio jack and just record with the onboard microphone, and we'll see what that sounds like. So be right back. All right, so now you are listening directly to the Canon M50 Mark II's onboard microphone. I've detached the Takstar mic, and so this is just going to be directly on what comes standard with the Canon camera. So this is what you would get out of the box without any additional purchase, just what comes with it. And we'll switch back to the Samson so that you can hear the comparison there, and so that you know again what my videos normally sound like. And for good measure, we've never used this audio in the past, but I just want to put a full comparison in there, because to date I've been recording with iPhones up until this video with the Canon, but we still have one iPhone over here, so we'll go ahead and I'll make sure I'm making a fair comparison. I'm going to talk directly to it, but we're going to go to the iPhone audio so that we can give that a listen. And so this is what it would sound like if you just threw your phone up there. This is an iPhone 12 Pro, so it is one of the top of the line ones, but as far as microphones go, they should be using basically the exact same component in all of the devices. So I wouldn't expect to have a large amount of difference between different versions of the iPhone. And quite frankly, I would imagine that a lot of Androids probably sound roughly the same as well. But so this is what the onboard microphone sounds like for the iPhone. This is what the onboard microphone sounds like for the Canon. And this is what my Samson microphone sounds like. So now that we've heard them all, I'm gonna take a listen, and then I'll come back with my final thoughts. All right, so we are back. I have listened to all the different recordings to kind of get my take, but first I wanted to do a quick housekeeping. As I was looking through the manual, I did notice an explanation about what this was. Oh, by the way, we are back to the Samson audio right now, in case you were curious. I was looking at this as just a splitter, thinking that you would have potentially two inputs. This is actually labeled, if I looked closer at it, with a headphone. Well, not sure whether you'll be able to see that there or not, but with a headphone on one and with a microphone on another. And so what that's used for is if you're plugging it into a device with this as your microphone, you can have an output so that you can monitor it with a pair of headphones. So actually a useful tool to have, and a nice feature for them to include. A little bit unusual, I would say, for a shotgun microphone to include that with it, but nice nonetheless, especially for the low price tag. In addition, I wanted to note that on the camera settings during the last test, I had the gain set to 0, which is what was recommended in the manual for DSLR-like cameras. What they recommend is using the +10 gain if you are going to be using into a smartphone, and using the -10 if you're going to be using into a sound mixer. And so that's something that I hadn't pointed out, but I left it right at the 0. And I did have the high frequency mode enabled. I thought it was off actually, but then I realized it was enabled. So at this point, I have turned it off. So I'll let you hear it now. So this is going back to the Takstar with that feature turned off. Hey, this is Cameron interrupting from after I was finished. My final cut, I realized that I did not turn on the Takstar microphone, finding one of the many fatal flaws of a microphone, which is that it doesn't work if you don't turn it on. So in the video right here where I just said that I turned off I may have called it high frequency, it's low frequency. It actually cuts out anything under 200 megahertz. I forgot to turn that off because I didn't turn the microphone on to actually test it. So anyway, this is the audio test to see the difference between the earlier stuff where we had that feature on and now what it sounds like with that feature off. And with this little intermission, I'll get back to the original video so that you can hear my conclusions and final thoughts. Peace. Overall impressions from the first go was that it was a little closer than I expected, to be honest. You'll notice in all the different clips, there's a decent amount of background noise, and that's because both cameras are about 1.5 to 2 feet away from a refrigerator that likes to run all the time while I'm filming. So, you know, I could turn it off, but I like having fresh food, so I leave it on. So in this case, there's a pretty much constant background noise, and that's what you'll be hearing most often in my videos if you hear something in the background. So this is what I was trying to get rid of. And the one thing I noticed is when I first uploaded all of the video, all of the audio tracks, that sound really jumped out at me on some of them and not all of them until I normalized audio levels. And that was one thing that I found particularly interesting, is that the new Takstar microphone requires me to normalize the audio down. So the audio levels are very high, and I wound up needing to turn them down in order to get to a reasonable level. Quite the opposite with the Samson microphone, which, because it's designed to be, you know, within a matter of a few inches from your mouth, and we are using it a few feet, that always has to be kicked up. And so, not, you know, like I said, I'm not an audio expert or anything by any means, but what it seems like is happening is the slight sound in the background with an untouched audio from the Takstar has a lot of that background noise, but it also has a lot of my voice. And then when we lower it to a more normalized level, suddenly the fridge fades off into the distance, and you can really hear my voice quite well. The opposite happens on the microphone, where if you jack up the volume of your device and leave this at its really low levels, it does a great job of blocking that out, but as soon as you start normalizing it and bringing that audio level up, you start to hear it in the background. So when I got the two levels to be equivalent and went through the normalization, I think my preference goes to the Takstar. I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments what was your preference. I'm willing to bet it wasn't the onboard Canon or the onboard Apple iPhone, because both of those had a ton of background noise and really poor audio quality. They would get the job done. The iPhone was definitely better than the Canon, in my opinion. I think that did a little bit better job. In the different clips, though, at different times, I think, depending on whether I was talking to it or talking away from it, it picked up different amounts of background noise, and I noticed some irregularities. So even if it does sound a little bit good, you need to get the conditions just right to have that effective use. So overall, I'd say I think the takeaway here is that an external microphone, a good microphone, is definitely recommended. And then I think using one as it's designed is also beneficial. So the shotgun microphone is designed for this use. Is it going to block out the sound of a fridge that's as close to the camera as I am? No, it's not going to do that 100%, but it's going to do a pretty good job. And in the case of this one, for $30, it seems like a no-brainer to me that that is a way better move than what I have. Now, I've talked about it before, but the Samson microphones are ones that I had on hand, and so I'll bring this one up here. And so you can see that the audio quality when I talk directly into it as it's intended sounds much better, because this is the audio levels that it's supposed to have. This is the intended use of this type of microphone. And this is something that I had from other purposes, and so that's why I have this, and I was just trying to make do with what I had at the time. I would not recommend, though, buying this if you want to do talking head segments like I do normally, unless you want to have the microphone squarely in frame like this, talking directly into it. If you want to do unboxings, if you want to do reviews, if you want to do things hands-on with products, like I do, then really a shotgun microphone like the Takstar is something that's going to serve you much better. I'm going to move this back. So thank you guys so much for watching. This was a fun experiment to do. This was a fun activity, like getting this new microphone, trying it out, seeing how it works, seeing which one has pros and cons was really fun. And I'm looking forward to using this information to help make better quality videos for you guys so that you can hear me clearly. There's no underlying sound of a refrigerator, and we're going to keep improving and iterating as we go. So please let me know down in the comments which microphone was your favorite. What do you think of this for a $30 microphone? And how'd the new camera do? You know, I said at the beginning, I said at the outset, this is the first video with the new Canon M50 Mark II. So how's it look? You like it? I thought it looked pretty good, and so I'm happy with it, and I'm sure we'll keep improving and working on it as we go. So like always, if you enjoy what you see, remember the likes are free and the subs don't cost anything either. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.